Are you ready?
Agility from the champion.
Oh, deep six!
That could be a delivered this deep six.
This is WWE Summerslam weekend. I am joined by Joe. My name is Wayne. Joe, how are you doing today?
What's up, dude? I am so excited for SummerSlam weekend. The hottest party of the summer, right?
Yes. Couple things to be excited about. This is like the second biggest pay-per-view in WWE of the year, and the first pay-per-view not in the Vince McMahon era. So there's a lot to be excited about for tomorrow night.
Definitely. A lot to look forward to, a lot to hope for, hoping not to get let down, right?
I don't think a letdown is going to happen, that's for sure. But it is 11:10 here on the East Coast, here in New York. You got the Long Island boys coming right at you.
That's it.
But we'll get into some announcements a little later. But we're going to jump right into predictions. For those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much. Feel free to drop your comments and chat with us. We want to hear your predictions too. And agree with you, maybe argue with you. But let's get the show started. So let's jump right in. We got the Mysterios versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day. This is a no disqualification match. I think this is going to be a pretty good match. It could very well be what opens the show.
I would open
unless
it that way,
it's the tag title match that opens the show. But you know what? I'm willing to bet that the tag titles are going to open up the show because that's Triple H's way of doing things on NXT, opening up with the tag titles. He's done that a lot. But I digress.
That would be a banger of a match to open up SummerSlam.
For sure. Absolutely.
Those guys are magic in the ring together. I love it.
Absolutely. So I have a couple of theories that are probably going to happen in this match. But Joe,
yeah,
I think we're going to get a decent match here. But what do you think? You got some predictions for Mysterios versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest?
So I think especially here on this podcast, and several times already we've brought up the Mysterios, and we're just waiting for that moment where Dominic is going to turn on Ray, right? But I don't. And then they've been teasing Dominic joining Judgment Day and whatnot. I could see something like that happening, but I could also see if it does open the show, I can see it just being a straight up, no DQ match. Kind of also invite some outsiders to come in, so maybe we could see that surprise return. It could be Edge, Edge coming back and kind of, laying claim to what he created with the Judgment Day, maybe siding with the Mysterios, letting them go over, and then, continuing that feud with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. However, I do want to just say that I think that Judgment Day needs to go over more than the Mysterios need to go over. I think that the Mysterios could take a loss and have them still be the Mysterios and still have a lot of, notoriety as their name, as their team, as, what I mean? But let alone Judgment Day, who hasn't really won a big match yet, not even with Edge and Damian Priest. You know what I mean? Like, they've had, wins on Raw and whatnot, but in terms of pay-per-view or premium live event, what do you want to call it? They've really only had one match, and that was the Finn Balor Styles versus Edge and Priest, and they lost it, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. They won. Why am I forgetting? Yeah, no, they won. They went over on Finn. But I think this iteration of Judgment Day, Finn Balor at the helm of this stable, I think they would benefit more from going over.
For sure. I wanted to ask you, what does a heel turn look like with Dominic? Or could this tease of a heel turn be a smoke screen, so to speak, for somebody else to join Judgment Day?
Could be. You saw Aaliyah Mysterio appear on Raw this past Monday. Maybe she joins the fray. Although I'm not too keen on her as a WWE performer. I think she's got a good look, but I think other than that, I wasn't really buying when she was involved with Buddy Murphy. But to answer your question with Dominic, man, he's riding the coattails of his dad. I think he's got some good in-ring ability, but because he didn't, I mean, at least from my perspective, it doesn't seem like I haven't really seen him pay his dues as much as I've seen like other up and comers. You know what I mean? Sure, he's Ray's son, and he definitely surprised me when he first started actually getting, kind of like getting mixed up with taking bumps and whatnot, and actually showing some offense. But I'm just not totally convinced, and so maybe a heel turn, give him some of that heel heat that might honestly improve like his overall performance and just being able to be perceived as a logical heel or a logical in-ring performer. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, for sure. So do you think that Dominic's heel turn is going to be a slow burn if they go that route? Or do you think it could happen tomorrow night? Or maybe the next night on Raw?
Maybe. I mean, and here's the thing. I think that a slow burn, like giving like a slow simmer, put him on the back burner, letting him generate a little bit of heat at a little bit. I think could be a good way to book like long-term storytelling. But in terms of like the pop that you want, especially at like a SummerSlam, I think you just go all out. I think you just like, you know what I mean? Just like go for it. If you're gonna turn, join Judgment Day. Might be actually a good idea to throw him into a stable, because I don't think having him be a heel on his own is going to be enough, even if he does feud with his dad like for the next couple of months, but at the same time, like I said, him by himself, I'm not completely convinced of his own solo ability.
No, neither am I, and especially that mullet that he's been rocking on his head lately.
I mean, those are in with the young crowd. Those are in.
That is not in. I'm sorry. But
man.
anyway,
not for me. I'm just saying, as a teacher, I've seen so many kids with
Dominic Mysterio got to cut that. It's just not look good on him.
No party in the back there, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Party's over.
I'm looking at his hair and I'm just cringing. But those of you guys that are watching, make sure you drop some comments. We want to hear what you have to say. What do you think about the possibility of maybe Edge? Will you think Edge will show up during this match? Bray Wyatt's been another name that has been tossed around. Could they show up together?
Perhaps. Yeah, for sure. I think you want, especially for someone like Edge, you want to give him his pop. He's had several in the last couple of years, but you want to give him that opportunity to kind of soak in that, oh yeah, I'm returning and I have unfinished business. Whereas someone like Bray, who we haven't seen in a while, whether it's the Fiend Bray Wyatt or just some type of iteration of another reinvention of just a straight up Bray Wyatt, I think also deserves his own spotlight. And so I can see, and I think a no DQ match kind of lends itself to have someone jump in, whether during the match or right after. And Edge seems to be like that number one likely person to come in and do that. I'd like to see him, and I'd also like to see an Edge versus Finn Balor one-on-one. That would be a really cool match to see.
For sure. So I think it's safe to say that I agree with you as far as with Judgment Day needing to win more. So I'm gonna have to go with them on this, and I'm trying to figure out which way they're gonna go. I have a feeling they're gonna start building to a Dominic and Ray. That match is gonna happen at some point.
Yeah,
I feel like it's been delayed. We know what's going to happen, and I feel like that might be a match where Rey Mysterio puts his retirement on the line. He puts his career on the line and gets his son when they do father versus son. So I think that's going to happen. Probably at like a grander stage, like a WrestleMania at some point.
Yeah.
At the latest, that is when we got to probably see that match. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I got the Judgment Day winning too. So and then next match we got is about 8 matches on the card. We have Logan Paul versus The Miz. Um, I'm not really quite too invested in this feud.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
interested to see what Logan Paul is going to pull out of the bag this time.
Yeah.
He's been training a lot since WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, he got the
One would
one
believe
match
he's
under his
probably
belt.
been training with The Miz since obviously they're going against each other.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? This is going to be one of the celebrity match, the match that, you know, a lot of more casual fans or more mainstream fans who just know who Logan Paul is, you know, they're going to gravitate towards that match, and it makes sense for that to be kind of more earlier on, right? And WWE likes to treat their guests very nicely, and so I can see Logan going over, even if it's like, let's say, a Tommaso Ciampa turns on the Miz to start a feud with the Miz moving forward, right? But I really did enjoy Ciampa's promo on Monday. I saw a highlight of it on Instagram.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, real intense for a program that, like you said, like was otherwise like for wrestling fans. I don't know how excited fans are for this match, but Ciampa turning up that, you know, that promo, I thought that was a nice touch. You know, this is our home, and you are an outsider, and we're gonna show you what it means to be an outsider in our home. You know, like, yeah, go for it. You know, and at the same time, you could probably, like I said, anything that Ciampa does in terms of like in ring and stuff, like that's what I'm really looking forward to with, you know, with his main roster run. And I think, you know, just being like the muscle or the goon to Miz, I don't think Miz needs it. I don't think Ciampa needs it either. You know, and especially now with Triple H head of creative, that you know, Ciampa's Triple H's boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, I could imagine, I would like to see Ciampa kind of distance himself from the Miz and kind of do his own thing. And so, sure, let Logan go over and let Ciampa turn on the Miz or do something like that. And then that's what I would like to see. But I mean, a lot of my predictions are wrong anyway.
I think I got Logan Paul going over
Yeah.
somehow.
He can perform. He did pretty well at WrestleMania.
I think I have him. I think I have him going over. I think somebody's going to come to his aid.
Yeah.
I don't like the Ciampa versus Miz pairing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean,
Ciampa needs to get away from Miz. Miz kind of needs to go a little away for a while. I feel like it's gotten a little stale, but that's just my opinion.
He's so reliable, and he is in like the public eye every other which way, you know, whether it be media, TV. He's got his reality show. He's a good, like, and I hate to use the word ambassador, but yeah, he's a good ambassador for the WWE, and I can imagine them wanting to lean on that pretty heavily. And that's a testament to the work that he's put in, and I respect that. As someone who, you know, when Miz first came in, I was not a big fan either, but now looking back, he's been here for such a long time, and he's been doing what he's doing. He will be the first to remind you, 2-time Grand Slam champion, you know, and so like there is
WrestleMania 27 main event.
Yeah, there is some respect you got to put to his name, but that's where that ends. And then you got to think, yeah, you know what, in terms of storytelling, in terms of, you know, long-term booking, I wonder how someone like The Miz is going to fare in a Triple H run program. I don't know. But I agree with you that I think that if he does get written off TV or get written off for a little while, then it'll make his return even bigger. You know what I mean? But he has not reached his ceiling as the biggest heel in the company. And I think that if booked correctly, he could be that. But right now, Tiny Balls is over. And so you're going to get a lot of that for a little while. And I think that could be like a Kurt Angle, you suck type of thing, Tiny Balls.
The most ridiculous the most ridiculous things get over with the WWE fans. I'm not gonna lie.
And they're going to ride it till it dies.
Speaking of balls, Pat McAfee took a big kick by Happy Corbin tonight.
The last 2 weeks, those kicks. The kick I think it was last week.
Down.
He went down. He was like, wow. I thought that was pretty cool, And then today, I didn't really like when Happy Corbin was behind him and like they were doing nothing about it. And then after a while, I did see a security guard was like, "Hey, audience member, you can't interact with the talent or whatever." Did like slightly subtly, But I'm just like, but then all of a sudden he got that, the low blow, and Pat McAfee, good for him for selling it the way he did. Should be a good match. I mean,
I think McAfee gets the win here.
Yeah, definitely. He's so over with the fans. Everyone's going to be excited for the entrance, the Seven Nation Army type of thing. It's going to be good. It'll be an instant crowd pleaser.
Let me tell you something. Pat McAfee was fire on the mic on SmackDown tonight.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I am a little bit on the edgy side too. Not gonna lie.
Good, as he should. And I don't know if not a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe people do realize it now, but I just read before we came on here that the picture that Happy Corbin was holding was Pat McAfee's mugshot from when he got arrested for public intoxication back in 2010.
Yep.
And I'm like, I thought that was a nice touch to, like moving forward, or just get a little bit of heel heat for Happy Corbin, and like, we're now talking about it, So,
yeah. So I'm expecting a pretty good match here. Is this like a special match? Or is this straight up 1-on-1?
I think
it's straight up 1-on-1.
I think it's straight up 1-on-1, and I think I'm not. If I were booking this, I think I would put this a little bit later in the card, maybe in between a couple of the title matches to kind of just break it up a little bit, but also like. I mean, and I think that's what they did during WrestleMania with the Pat McAfee match. Not to mention, the Pat McAfee match ended with Stone Cold coming out and doing the stunners and whatnot. And so obviously they wanted to put that later. But knowing how Pat McAfee can perform, I think that wherever it is on the card, it's going to be an instant crowd pleaser.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I think the two of them, it's good storytelling. It hasn't been bad. Hopefully, it translates even further into a better match that we see between the both of them.
Yeah.
I like how they told the story, how they were both one teammates and they roomed together. So I thought that was pretty cool there.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
That I probably have somewhere in the middle of the card. I don't know where you place that match, but we got the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defending against Becky Lynch. All right, so let's talk. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair has had this title since WrestleMania,
right? Yeah. And now I thought,
does she lose it this soon? Do you think Bianca Belair loses it this soon?
That would be 2 SummerSlams in a row to lose the title to Becky Lynch. I think that would be a very interesting way to end a whole 1-year story arc for Bianca Belair. I think that now, I don't know if you want to call it the way that the women's division has been booked on Raw, or is it a lack of talent? Is it a lack of push? We've said it in weeks past, lack of star power. It was supposed to be Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, if I'm not mistaken. I
believe they were talking about that.
And then they had the scramble, and that's when Lynch won, right? They
Mhm.
had the Sasha Naomi scramble, and then that's why Lynch won.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like whatever, you're making lemonade out of the lemons you've been dealt. But at the same time, wouldn't it be a shame if Bianca Belair, who I believe has a lot of potential to be the face of the company, especially moving forward with the new leadership regime, especially with someone like Stephanie McMahon at the head of the board or whatnot, and
Yeah.
also with Triple H, head of creative.
Yeah.
Bianca Belair, in my opinion, can be the poster woman for the women's division, maybe even Raw entirely. Um, Shout out to Bianca Belair for showing up to the Mets game last Friday night, and that's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was WWE night over
yeah,
there.
yeah. And so, like, that's a perfect example where Bianca Belair has that star power, or can have that star power to be again an ambassador for the WWE, for the mainstream, right? And I think that, although obviously Becky Lynch has done her fair share of doing that too. She's on the poster behind us right now. You know what I mean? And so it's just like one of those things where, like, do we want to do that? Do we want to have Becky Lynch go over on Bianca again for the second year in a row? I don't know. I could see it happening, but in my opinion, what do I really want? I want Bianca to retain, and I want Bianca Belair to have the title moving forward, especially with thinking that tomorrow's the first Triple H complete control over a creative show. I think she needs to be the title holder.
You think it's gonna happen? I think maybe they do kind of like a long term story here. Maybe they do a WrestleMania rematch,
Another one. So 2 years in a row.
but I don't know. I don't think you have Bianca lose it here.
I would not. I wouldn't.
I don't think I don't think you
Unless
have
they
Bianca lose it
do
here.
unless they do something very similar to what they did last year and have someone like a Bailey come in and like surprise enter the fray somehow, and she goes over, and that's why Bianca loses it.
Oh my goodness gracious, that would be crazy. I mean, listen, there are a couple of women out there that could quite possibly return.
Yeah.
Um, so hold that thought, because let's just while we're talking about the women, let's just jump right to the SmackDown Women's Championship. Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey.
I
Liv
was
Morgan
not
won her belt about what? It was Money in the Bank, so
Money in the Bank.
early July,
I am not.
July
I was not
2nd,
a
I think
fan
it
of
was.
tonight's show. Did you? I don't know how much of the Tonight you watched, but
I saw it all.
so first and foremost, I love the amount of segments and the amount of TV that the women's division at SmackDown had tonight. They went straight from a Shotzi and Aaliyah match, going straight to a backstage segment, going into Ronda and Liv. It was like straight up like 40 minutes of just women's division, which was really cool to see, right?
Yeah.
The representation is there. Even in SmackDown, I would argue that the star power is there. Obviously, you have Ronda Rousey, right, bringing in fans, bringing in that notoriety. But at the same time, I'm confused to what to think of Ronda Rousey, because it doesn't seem like she's that over anymore. And I just feel like Liv, like you said, Liv just got the title of Money in the Bank. She hasn't had like a clean defense on a pay-per-view of this title, and now her first defense is against Ronda Rousey. It's hard to think about how Liv can retain, but I hope that she does. And I think that they are going to figure out a way for her to retain the title. And she needs to be built more into that championship scene, like to be seen as the title holder. Also, the fans kind of want it more, right? The fans want to see what Liv can do as champion.
Yeah.
So
I got Liv. I got Liv winning, but
it's just
getting back,
not that convincing for me.
I,
Not enough.
I got Liv winning, but I have a feeling there might be some shenanigans or some kind of distraction
Yeah.
Bailey's been long talked about.
Yeah, she could.
For making her return, and we believe it could be very well tomorrow night, or maybe this week. They could save it for Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
Because they have done stuff like that where people return like the next night or whatever.
Right.
So it might not be a SummerSlam. But then you also have Charlotte looming.
Mm-hmm.
Could she come back and cost Ronda? But then again, they had a few months long of a program. I'm not too sure if they're going to revisit that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Also, there have been several. I think that I was recently just watched a Charlotte Liv match. I think from SmackDown, and I think it was for the title or something. And it was. I think that those two have chemistry as well, and I think that if Liv goes over and then Charlotte returns, that could be a really good rivalry to even have Liv do as champion for a couple of months, you know? But in my opinion, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Ronda has kind of lost some of that luster of what it's like to have Ronda Rousey in WWE. And it's not that I don't think I think she's an incredible performer, and I think she does really well with what she's been given in WWE, you know. But man, for me, I want to see what Liv can do. You know, give her the title. Fans have been clamoring for it. You have her have the title now. Let's see what she can really do. And her biggest test will be, can she convincingly go over on Ronda Rousey? Or like you said, could there be some shenanigans? Could she even turn heel? You know, and like maybe someone comes in, distracts, and she picks up a dirty win. Who knows? I think you're mute. I can't really hear you.
You had Natty Neidhart. Keep that in mind, where she's been kind of poking her nose in their business as far as Natty, doing the work, and even though she lost to Ronda, Natty wore her down for Liv to take advantage to do the cash in, and Natty takes advantage. Natty takes credit for Liv Morgan, winning the belt.
Yeah.
So you could see Natty poking her nose in their business tomorrow night. I feel like a lot could be going on there. A lot of different possibilities.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like I said, I think Liv to be someone who can beat Ronda seems less convincing than Liv beating Natty or Sonya Deville or anyone else on the SmackDown women's division. You see Shotzi having a lot of, I think she's enjoying herself as a heel, and I would love to see Shotzi versus Liv and see what that's like. But I don't know if Shotzi is in the position where creatively where she's up to that challenge of challenging for the title. At least not yet. At least, although for me as a fan, I'm having fun watching her, in this new type of heel role. She looked good today.
She absolutely did. So we'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
She got to win, but you need momentum behind that to
for sure
keep that going and make it believable for sure.
But my point is, I think that if for whatever reason Ronda's not around, I don't know what her plans are or what the rumors are with that. But in terms of just for me, I respect Ronda Rousey. I love what she's done for the women's division and bringing some star power to the women's division overall. She's put on some great matches, but I just think that I think I've had enough. Just my opinion. I think I've had enough.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So I think we can both agree that Liv's going to keep her title. She's only had it for a month. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna keep that going. Um, as far as the women, I feel like I got Bianca Belair. It's just kind of tough to call to see where Bailey's gonna show up, where
Yeah.
Charlotte's gonna show up. Um, so many possibilities, and you can't all do them in one night. So they might
Right.
like listen. You got Charlotte out there. You got not to mention Sasha and Naomi out there.
Yep.
A lot of possibilities. Like this could be. You can't do it all in one night. Obviously, they could spread it over the course of like the next three shows or so.
Right.
So it's just going to be interesting what they do tomorrow night and what direction that they decide to go in. Um, but next up, Joe, what I think might be the match of the night here. Undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, the Usos, defending against the Street Profits with special guest referee JEFFJRE Jeff Jarrett. What are your thoughts on this match?
I was not excited. I mean, I always like Jeff Jarrett. I mean, I was not as excited about Jeff Jarrett being a part of the whole entire this picture at all, or this program. I thought that was weird that they threw him in there. But now I remember, oh, okay, it's Nashville, so then makes more sense that way. But until tonight, when we saw Double J come in and take the super kick from the Usos. I know you texted me that before I
Jeff
actually saw
Jarrett
it.
at his age sold that so well.
It
Let
was
me tell
awesome to
you.
see that, and so that's what got me excited for at least Jeff Jarrett's appearance at SummerSlam, right? Aside from Jeff Jarrett, I absolutely love Street Profit versus Usos. They've had some matches in the past, some banger matches in the past. Those guys are magic in the ring. I love seeing them go at each other. And who do I want to go over? I want the Street Profits to go over. I know that the Usos haven't had too much time with both titles, but oh gosh, I would just love to see a match like that, and I can already hear fans chanting "Fight Forever." This is awesome, you know. But to then have that new champs feeling, I think that would be really, really cool. However, do I still see Usos also winning? For sure. I think it could go either way, but like you said, has potential to be match of the night. Um, One thing I will say though about Jeff Jarrett, and especially with tonight happening, where sure you do see the Usos inadvertently super kicking Jeff Jarrett, he sells it like a champ, and it kind of sets it up like, oh, of course, now Jeff Jarrett has a reason to kind of favor the Street Profits. I think it might be a swerve. Jeff Jarrett might help the Bloodline retain their titles. It would remind me of, not that this happened during the match, but it reminds me of Mike Tyson, siding with DX the whole entire time, and then at the end not helping, but had a play in Stone Cold going over HBK at WrestleMania, right?
Is it possible? And it's funny you should mention that. Is it possible that tomorrow night one of the Street Profits accidentally hits Jeff Jarrett, maybe with the super kick, maybe with like a knockout punch or something like that, causing Jeff Jarrett to side with the Usos, and then you have one Street Profit mad at the other to start
Mm.
their turn.
Are either of them or both of them ready for a singles run? Right? If you're gonna
Uh,
break them
oh
up,
yeah,
if you're
oh
gonna
yeah, one
break
of
them
them
up, for
for
sure.
sure.
I think it would be very interesting. Although, this is classic WWE breaking up tag teams, right? Whereas, like moving forward creatively, if Triple H or whoever, everyone wants to really build tag team wrestling in WWE again, you shouldn't break up tag teams, right? Especially people like the Usos or Street Profits. Like, let them ride it out as tag teams, you know. I mean, but then a lot of legendary wrestlers will always tell you if you're not wanting to be world heavyweight title champion, you know, then why are you in the business, right? But at the same time, like I said, these guys, Montez Ford, I think he's ready. I think he's ready to go out on his own. Also, Angelo Dawkins can really throw down. I think I said it one of the last couple times I was here, but he can really go. He is surprisingly agile and surprisingly strong, and so he's got it. You know, I think. But it's interesting that you mentioned that the Street Profits could accidentally do what the Usos did tonight, right? So the fans that were there live tonight and us watching, we saw Jeff Jarrett get super kicked. Oh, there's reason for him to hate the Usos. Same thing could happen tomorrow with the Street Profits, and that could be enough of a reason for Jeff Jarrett to side with the Usos and help them retain. I think that would be really good storytelling.
I can see Jeff Jarrett doing some shady stuff like that and helping Usos retain for sure, no doubt about it. I got the Usos winning, which could have a domino effect on something else later, but we'll
Yeah.
get to that in a second. Let me
Oh,
see
but
here. What else?
just to keep track, I think this is the first match that we disagree on? I want Street Profits, and I can see Street Profits going over.
I mean, I want the Street Profits to win. I think
Yeah,
it'd be cool. And it could happen, but I think the Usos win this one.
yeah.
I think they win this one.
It just looks so good with the bloodline having all the gold,
Yeah. I'm not too sure if they're willing to disrupt that yet.
especially in the beginning of the Triple H era, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, and we're gonna when we talk about the Roman Reigns versus Lesnar match, we're gonna tie back to this
Yeah,
in a second. Um, but and we got the United States champion Bobby Lashley defending against Theory. Theory wanting his belt back. He is the Money in the Bank holder. He's been very much ingrained with going after Roman, going after Drew now, going after Lesnar, and then all those guys going back after him. So he's really been instigating a lot of stuff.
yeah.
Um, Teasing this Saturday night, tomorrow night, cashing in. But before we get to that talk, does Theory beat Lashley tomorrow?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they could play it, and I think this would be more on the responsibilities of the commentary team to kind of tell the story, especially for for viewers. But I think that Theory has been spending maybe too much attention on the world title picture with the Money in the Bank, and maybe not enough attention on a very over Bobby Lashley. You know, at the same time, he just got beat up tonight pretty badly with the Money in the Bank suitcase at the end of the I said suitcase, briefcase, whatever you want to say, at the end of SmackDown, right? And so maybe that could play into him not being 100% tomorrow for Lashley. You know,
That's an interesting point. He did. Austin Theory did take a beat down tonight on SmackDown for sure. To end the show, I mean, he got
from
his shots
Lesnar
in.
and Drew. You
Yeah,
know, so maybe
unbelievable.
they play into that, and that'll help Lashley win. But then obviously this kind of ties it into sure Lashley could win, retain the U.S. title, go over, let the fans kind of soak it in with the almighty Bobby Lashley. That would then set up Theory to kind of like, all right, we're done with the U.S. title picture. Now let's focus on the main event and see what he really does. I don't
You
know.
notice that these storylines have been like dual layered,
Hmm.
like they're also at the same time setting up for Clash of the Castle,
Yeah, yeah.
and we don't know what that main event's going to be yet, but hopefully we can sort it out once we start talking about who's going to walk out as the champion tomorrow night. You know what? Let's jump right into it. I think we covered all the other matches.
I think so.
Yeah. So all right. So undisputed champion Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in the last man standing. Um, supposedly this is going to be the last time that they fight. But how many times have they advertised a particular feud as the last time ever, and then they revisit it years later? So
Oh yeah,
this could be the last for a while though. But we
yeah,
got Lesnar versus Roman Reigns tomorrow night as your SummerSlam main event in Nashville.
yeah.
And this is a tough one to call. It is on record, obviously, that Lesnar walked out on WWE once he found out that Vince McMahon wasn't going to be there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, during SmackDown last week, during the show, Triple H and Stephanie had to have been convincing them to, stick around, don't do this. It's one more week.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a feeling that Roman Reigns wins. Lesnar kind of goes off into the sunset for a little while.
Yeah.
Um,
Although the only way that Lesnar's gonna
unless
win,
they made a deal that to keep Lesnar around, that Lesnar's going to win the belt and hold it for a little bit. But I don't think I see Lesnar winning. I don't know. This is a really tough one. I mean, I'm leaning more
It
towards
is.
Reigns just based on the circumstances of everything that went down the last 2 weeks.
it would be really interesting to see, especially because it's last man standing, right? And so if what you described with Brock Lesnar not being happy with his position in a post Vince McMahon retiring or resigning era, if he's really that unhappy, is the way that he's going to lose and ride off into the sunset really going to be failing to answer a count of 10? That's Brock
Mhm.
Lesnar. You know what I mean? I can't convincingly believe either one, Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, failing to reach the count of 10. You know what I mean? It's going to be a match to watch. It's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be a barn burner. I don't know.
Just to give you a heads up, we have somebody from Ghana watching us tonight.
What's up, Ghana?
What
Nice.
is up? Thank you for joining us, man.
That's
You were
awesome.
literally in the other side of the world, and we
Yeah,
just want to thank you for hopping on and joining and listening to what we have to say. We appreciate you.
absolutely. Let
Somebody
us know
from
what you
Ghana.
think. Let us know what you think. I mean,
Let us know what your predictions are. Put it in the comment. We'll address them for sure. No doubt about it.
also, okay, so what I was also thinking was, uh, what if, I mean, could there be a possibility? I don't think Theory is this type of heel to, or has the character Theory, I don't know, has enough, doesn't have enough confidence to input himself into the match, not the last man standing match. Could it be a possibility of Theory saying, I'm going to enter this match late in the match, making it a triple threat last man standing, and then for whatever reason is able to make both men not, not reach the count of 10? You know what I mean? Could that happen with help? Of course, you know what I mean. And this is something where I said, I think it was last week where we were talking, and I predicted, or I kind of fantasy booked, someone coming to the aid of Theory to help him get the title, giving him a muscle or giving him some type of enforcer type of role, And I pictured someone like a Braun Strowman, you know, um, kind of being that muscle for Theory, because I could see someone like a Theory, kind of smaller dude, carrying both titles, but really it's the big muscle behind him who's kind of, you know, making it a little bit more convincing.
Sure. So you just gave me a thought. If Austin Theory were to insert himself late in that match and make it a triple threat, and Austin Theory comes out and wins, this will remind me and almost be the equivalent of when, in the same night, Chris Jericho defeated The Rock and Steve Austin to
Yeah,
walk out
no
as
one thought it
champion.
could happen. Crazy. Crazier things have happened, right?
For sure. So now, let's talk about this. I feel like there's a domino effect here.
Hmm.
let's just say Usos lose the titles.
Hmm.
Do you have? Is there a possibility that could affect on the decision making of the main event?
Definitely, because then you're legit thinking about taking all the gold off of the bloodline. And then,
They've done that, and
yeah,
NXT Triple H is booked like that. Where let's just say, what's
it was
it?
Undisputed Era, right?
Undisputed Era. They won all the gold in one night, and did they lose it all in one night,
I don't think they lost it all one night. I think
or it was close?
it was definitely a slow burn. I think it was, what was it? Roderick Strong had the North American title. I think he lost it to, was that Keith Lee?
I believe no, Keith. I believe so. Yeah, I think so.
And then that's when Keith Lee beat Adam Cole later on that year
Yeah,
and had both titles.
Yeah, that was like 3 months apart.
Right.
If that.
But at the same time, for sure, that was a good example of how a stable can have all the gold and then very shortly after not have any. You know, it's just a good for a fan. It's just a really good visual to legitimize a stable as like your top heel stable, and have them have all of the gold. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of seeing that, but I'm a bigger fan of seeing who's gonna be big and tough enough to take it all away. You know,
Yeah.
because that's
No.
good storytelling.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. So I was thinking about that as like a possible domino effect there.
Definitely.
But if Usos win, I can't see Lesnar or Reigns even losing that. I can't see Reigns losing that title.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Like
Yeah, that's a good
like
point.
because obviously the tag match is going to happen way before and I think that the pay per view is going to start off with the tag team title match. So if I'm right, pat on my back. But that's just Triple H booking right there.
Yeah,
But I think I got if Usos win, I think that's gonna be a little telling that Roman Reigns quite possibly is walking out of there. I'm just not too sure how they're gonna do it, or maybe we get a tease of the Money in the Bank cash in,
mm,
and Roman Reigns will say, "Oh, you don't know what to do with this briefcase, yada yada yada," and then maybe Theory gets like scared and never cashes it in.
maybe. I
Because then
mean,
maybe later in the night, Usos prevent Theory or Dolph Ziggler prevents
oh
Theory's
yeah, Ziggler,
cash in
right?
attempt.
That's a good point. We haven't, we saw Ziggler, a couple weeks ago get in the mix with Theory, and
Because maybe we
could do
get
it.
Austin Theory versus Ziggler at Clash at the Castle, and then later
Yeah,
that night, Drew McIntyre. Maybe we get Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, and I have possibly heard that this could happen.
yeah.
Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns Clash at the Castle. What better way to have Drew McIntyre lose? I'm sorry, beat Roman
Yep.
Reigns. Roman Reigns will then have completed 2 full years. He'll have that under his belt by like late August.
Hmm.
So by September 3rd, it will be already 2 full years, 730 days, and we have Drew McIntyre defeat Reigns. Drew gets the big pop in London.
Yeah, yeah. The
He
big
gets
European pop.
the big European pop. The fans go nuts. Then Austin Theory comes from behind, like he did to Drew tonight on SmackDown, knocks him out, and beats Drew. And then you get major, major heat on Austin Theory. Have
There
Austin
you
Theory
go.
cash in a Clash at the Castle.
You guys heard it here. Aftermath Wrestling Podcast. I think that's how they got to do it. I think that's what they got to do. They can even tease Austin Theory cashing in tomorrow, like you said. Maybe give him a Dolph Ziggler preventing it, prompting a feud with Dolph Ziggler. Have that be an early match at Clash at the Castle, and then that even if, let's say, they can have a match at Clash of the Castle. Ziggler can even go over. You know what I mean? And then have Theory later on in the night cash in and do exactly what you said. And they kind of set that up tonight. You know, they had 2 run-ins and with uh, Theory and Drew McIntyre, you know. And so that's long-term booking right there, you know. Or it isn't long-term in the sense that like they're doing something now on SmackDown for not just tomorrow. I know it's the go home for SummerSlam, but it is also setting up for Clash at the Castle. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We also need to keep in mind that this past Monday and tonight's show for SmackDown were the last of the Vince completely run shows, right? And so starting tomorrow, we can just as easily forget everything we said and just as easily have a completely new product starting Monday Night Raw, starting tomorrow even, you know? Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, once they get past SummerSlam and they figure out who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, um, I would say by Monday night or at the latest by the day after Clash of the Castle, they could just really, really just start fresh and hit that reset button.
And what
Uh,
better way to do that
just
with
to
a
get past
brand
the
new
plans.
champion with a lot of heel heat, with a lot of that, you know, what better way to build a heel than to get under the skin of this huge European show that you've been, promoting
Yeah,
for
for
months.
sure. So that's our WWE Summerslam predictions. I'm predicting we're gonna have a great show. I think we have a great in-ring action.
Yeah,
There's 8 matches tomorrow night. I think this pay-per-view goes off the air probably about like around 11:30.
yeah.
It's in Nashville. It's in the stadium. But this is going to be a 3.5 hour to 4 hour show. But I'm thinking more like 11:30 or so. So that should be pretty interesting to see how they do that. But it's going to be again Triple H's first run WWE pay-per-view.
Got big shoes
Uh,
to fill.
yeah, but you know what? Triple H has got big shoes to fill, but he's
But
also got a good
he's got
support team
experience.
around him.
He's got experience. He's got support, and he's got obviously he has the WWE fan support as well, and I think that's what he's got going for himself. And I think that he's got like we said last week. And if you didn't catch last week's show, definitely catch that. Well, our reaction to all the news and whatnot. But also, man, what an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. We've said it for the last several months, but really, it's just an incredible time to be a wrestling
It
fan.
is, and tomorrow, not only we're gonna get good wrestling because we've been getting great wrestling on
Yeah.
these last several pay-per-views. I can't really think of a pay-per-view in recent memory that WWE's had bad wrestling,
Mhm.
but now we're gonna get that combined with good storytelling. I think we're gonna get a great SummerSlam here for sure.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get a great SummerSlam. How do you feel about this week's programming, by the way, that took place on Friday and on Monday?
So I watched all of SmackDown today, and I think like I said, one of the biggest things that I noticed was a huge chunk of it was dedicated to the women's division, and I think that is deservedly so. And I think that with Raw, they've been riding on these 20-year anniversaries for a little while. They've had John Cena, Randy Orton, now they had Rey Mysterio. Um, and so, I thought that was kind of cool that they did that for Ray. I remember 20 years ago seeing Rey Mysterio kind of come in, and like I already was familiar with him just because of WCW and the cruiserweights and
Yeah,
whatnot. But at the same time, it's just like, man, like how many times are they going to remind us that 2002 was 20 years ago? you know, but
yeah.
I think that
It's
if
just
we
that
go on,
listen, it's 3 very big names in the business that happens to have all started in WWE around the same time,
yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously Mysterio had 6 to 8 years at least of wrestling experience before even entering WWE.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had a name for himself even before he came in, which is good, you know. And I think, I mean, what he's done for the wrestling community, what he's done to bring that, lucha style wrestling to more mainstream audiences that wouldn't have known about lucha style had it not been for guys like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, and all of them, right? I think it goes without saying he's a legend. He's a living legend, and he's first bid in the Hall of Fame once he's ready to go in. And so like props to him. I think that to answer your question, this last week, a lot of eyes are on the WWE right now to see what they're going to do, amidst all of the news with Vince, amidst all the news with going, leaving TV PG and going into TV 14, where you're still yet to see the TV 14, icon in the corner. Hopefully things kind of, I mean, not to say that it's bad television if it's PG. I just think that Raw was just another Raw, in my opinion. SmackDown was just another SmackDown, which is still decidedly better than Raw.
I felt like the flow of Raw and SmackDown were, I think the flow was better. I mean, the way they entered Raw, like right away with a brawl, like they wasted no time. I'm like, oh man, that had Paul Heyman's fingerprints right. That first segment had Paul Heyman's fingerprints right on there. Classic Paul Heyman with ECW shows always starting with wrestlers already brawling in the ring, and matches already started, and that's how Monday started. I was like, oh, this is cool. But like the flow of the ring, the segments were there, from going one segment to another. And of course, my interest was piqued to see what they were gonna do. We got blood. We got blood on Monday. We got blood.
Was that Montez Ford, right?
Yeah. And it was funny. Like the referee didn't even put gloves on right away. Like,
I think that's how. I think that's a clear tell that it wasn't planned. I don't think. But I call that the hard way. But but also.
And then Friday and tonight was pretty good. It was like both shows have been very watchable so far. Very subtle differences for sure.
You know what? To your credit, I think that tonight also started kind of with a brawl. It was like a match that started, but it started at the entrance. It started at the head of the ramp. Drew came in wanting to do his entrance. Nope.
Oh my gosh! So let me tell you, Drew McIntyre earned that win tonight.
Definitely.
He earned that win. He took a beating by Sheamus.
Yeah. And Butch came in too, And
Butch came in, and
it was the other guy. I am a big Butch fan of Pete Dunne. I really do enjoy, his work.
Oh, Ridge Holland came in and put a beating down on Drew.
Yep.
And Sheamus took some bumps too. Like he
was a great match. It was a good match, and it was several segments, and it was. I think that was like because I don't think they're going to be on the card tomorrow, right? So this was their
which was kind of odd. They should have had this tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Even a pre-show, number one contender match to do a kickoff.
I liked how they were a little creative with the match tonight.
Like the props all around, the European flags all around.
That was great. That was absolutely
very nice touch.
Well, Joe, that pretty much wraps up our SummerSlam 2022 predictions. I am looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 8:00. I'm gonna be probably hosting just a couple people over, and just watching wrestling and what have you. And it's just going to be such a good night. I feel like the SummerSlam is going to be a good one with Triple H and Paul Heyman running things. Guys, put your seatbelts on. I think this is going to be a good pay-per-view. But that's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on the Peacock Network. The Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast team will be live immediately, and I mean immediately, minutes after SummerSlam pay-per-view is over. because it is going to be a late one tomorrow night. But we will be live tomorrow night after SummerSlam to get the reaction. We'll be with you, guys, next week, episode 96. Episode 96 next week. 4 episodes away from 100.
Dude,
So I
that's
can't
huge.
wait for that. That is huge. That is huge. So episode 96 will be next week, which will cover a little more reactions from SummerSlam. We'll cover Raw, SmackDown, the aftermath. No pun intended, but that's what we call ourselves, the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast. We like to review shows and what have you. Those of you guys that are watching, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also available on iTunes and Spotify. Spotify has been down for us for a little while. We are working on that, but we're also on Google Play. We're also on iHeartRadio. Wherever you can find a podcast, we're there. Of course, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you share this with your friends and family. Don't do not forget, everybody, that we have t-shirts out. I am wearing my t-shirt. So if you guys haven't gotten a t-shirt, you need to get on that right away and help represent. You can find that right there at the bottom of the screen. Buy our new t-shirt at www.prowrestlingtees.com. Search for the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast, and you'll see our shirts available in black, navy gold, navy blue, and gold. And if you double click on the black, you'll also see the army green color too. So we got 4 colors out. Make sure you guys get on that. And Joe, that's all I got. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
My pleasure.
It is going to be a good weekend. And then I can't wait. It's gonna be a solid show tomorrow. I have a feeling we're gonna be coming on with excitement, and we'll see. I mean, we could 24 hours from now we could be talking about Austin Theory as our new WWE champion. This is like reality. I'm not too sure if that's happening, but this could very well happen. But anyhow, I digress. Those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much. You all have a great night.
See ya.
Help if I hit end. Darn, internet's so slow.
Looks like we're still live. All right.
We're still live. It is ending.
What time is it in Ghana?
Probably like 8 a.m.
Yeah, there you go. Good morning.
Good morning, Ghana. Thank you for joining us. Having trouble connecting. That's awesome.